Another little course vlog for you on this cold and foggy morning at my home club. And off the number 1 tee, I'm hitting a 3 hybrid because I can't see further than about 220. And I hit this one really well. It ended up right in the center of the fairway. Got a nice little 8 iron in here and hit this one fat. But this was one of those days where I was just hitting a lot of mediocre shots that ended up all right. So I hit this chip a little fat, but it ended up rolling up right by the hole, only 3 or 4 feet. So I had that tap in for par. Hole 2, I hit a really nice 52 in there. It ended up a little bit short, but I had an uphill putt, and it was supposed to break to the left, but pretty much left it out there on the right. But you can't really complain about a par-par start. Hole 3, I hit this drive so far off the hosel, it went about 150 yards. And normally I have a 7 iron in here, but I'm hitting a 3 hybrid and hit it really well and still ended up short. But luckily I hit a pretty good pitch shot here and rolled it up to about 2 or 3 feet. So another tap in par, and with how I'm hitting the ball, 3 pars in a row is pretty good. I finally hit a pretty good drive here, still off the heel. My swing just wasn't feeling it today, but ended up in the fairway. And cut a nice little wedge in here. It felt really good, but ended up a little bit long. So I had a pretty long downhill putt here and just misread it, so it went right, but it was still within a couple feet, and I had another tap in for 4 pars in a row. This is where things start to really go bad. I hit a decent drive, but it was pretty swipey, so really didn't go that far. And I missed a shot here, actually shanking it into the bunker, and then I hit this shot fat out of the bunker, so I'm already laying 3. Then again, I hit this 7 iron way off the hosel and way off to the right of the green, which is the worst place you could be on this hole. So I'm trying to hit a flop shot over the bunker, and it's just wet and there's no grass, so I hit it into the bunker and then pop it too far out of the bunker over the green. I tried to ram this putt in just because I was so angry and missed that, and then calmed down and hit this one too short, so I took a 9 on that par 5. Then I followed up with an absolute hosel to the left on this hole. And again, another shank into the bunker. And at this point, I'm about to give up, but I make decent contact here and get it up somewhere close to the green. I give it a pretty good pitch shot here, but not close enough to really have a good chance of making this putt. So of course, I missed that putt, but tap it in for a double. I hit this again way off the heel, but luckily it went through that bunker in the fairway, and I had a really awkward lie, but hit a nice little wedge in here. And it was at least close enough to give me a birdie look, and I gave it a pretty good roll, but just not hard enough, so I had to tap in par to get off that double and quadruple bogey train. This hole I hit a 5 iron and ended up cutting it a little too much, took some distance off, so I ended up short, barely over the water, but luckily I hit a really good flop shot here and ended up just a couple feet from the hole. So another par, and going into 9, I really need to get a good score here. Surprise, surprise, I hit this drive way off the heel again, and it faded right into the trees, and then I hit this punch shot with a 5 iron, again, right off the heel, almost the hosel. Luckily it stayed on the right side of the fairway. And then I hit a pretty good shot here, and it was kind of surprising that I hit it so well and it went over the green. So I'm putting out of the fringe way down the hill, and I gave it a decent roll. Didn't have the best line, but the distance was good enough that I had a pretty simple putt. It was a left to right breaker, but close enough that I could make it for a par. So I'm 6 over through 9. And finally hit a good drive here right in the middle of the fairway, and I'm feeling confident at this point. Hit another pretty good approach shot here, and I'm thinking that I might make my first birdie. It's about a 25-foot putt and gave it a decent roll, but it just ended up going straight and short, but a tap-in par. And on this hole, I finally hit the best shot of the day, perfectly solid, and I thought it was going to go in for a second, but ended up about 1.5 feet from the hole. So there's my first birdie to bring me back to +5. And then again, I hit a pretty decent drive here. Everything was a little off the heel, so it was just fading off a little bit. And I tried going for the green in 2 like an idiot and just pulled my 3-wood directly into that tree. And then hit a terrible punch shot out of a really bad lie, and luckily it made it back into the fairway. So I decided to follow that up with a nice chunky wedge that didn't even make it to the green. This is my par putt, and I hit a really good putt here, but just a tiny bit short, so it broke right towards the hole but never went in. So let's tap in bogey. I started feeling a little better about my irons, and I hit this one pretty good, and it was right at the pin and ended up just about 10 feet from the hole. I gave this one a good roll left to right and made my second birdie on the back. So I'm back to +5 through 13 and hit a pretty good 3-wood here. It was kind of spinny, but ended up in the fairway. And then I hit the equator on the ball on this one, so I ended up a little long and right, but still actually had a birdie putt. This was a really long putt, and I gave it a decent roll, but it wasn't going in. But it was another 1 or 2 footer for par. Sometimes I'll try to drive this hole, but I was just not hitting it well enough today, so I hit a 5-iron and set myself up in the fairway, and then hit a pretty good pitching wedge here and ended up just a few feet down the hill from the hole. I hit the absolute worst putt of the day. My camera didn't even want to watch. And I was about to tap it in, but it started rolling back down the hill and almost went in, so I got a par there. On 16, I took it easy on the swing and ended up in the left side of the fairway on a really side hill lie, kind of behind a tree, and this shot was a lot harder than it looks. So I hit a nice draw around the tree, bounced it off the hill by the bunker, and ended up just a few feet from the hole. So this is birdie number 3 on the back. Hole 17, I hit a pretty good tee shot, just a little more draw than I wanted, but I still ended up on the left side inside the tree line. Opened up my approach wedge to get over the trees here and hit a nice shot, and I thought this was going to be a little bit closer, but I had a birdie putt. Theme of the day was misreading putts, so I left that one outright, but made par going into 18. I hit a really bad drive here, just a low hook, and went into the trees. Then when I tried to hit a hook with this punch shot, ended up going dead straight and just about 10 yards too long through the fairway into the right trees, so I had no shot into the green. And I hit this punch shot into the far bunker on the left. So I needed to get up and down for par, and I hit a really good bunker shot here, kind of spun it to the right and right towards the hole. And with about 3 feet left for par. Bruh. So I ended up with a 77, even with a 9 and a double back-to-back. So I just need to get rid of those garbage scores, and I'll feel a lot better about myself.